back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this dress with fringe at the end. So first we're going to cut the bottom part, which is the skirt part. So what you're going to do is to fold your fabric into two, and the width you're going to have is your hip measurement divided by 4 plus your seam allowance. For me, that's going to be 1 inch seam allowance. So my hip measurement is 48 divided by 4 is 12 plus extra 1 inch seam allowance. That's why I have 13 here. So 12 plus 1, that's 13. Then you see I have my back pattern, which is like I have like about 1.5 of zip allowance or 1 inch of zip allowance also. So this is my pattern here. So now and as you can see, I have 4 pieces here. So the 2 for my front panel, which is joined together, but my back panel I split it open because it's going to have zip at the center back. So let's start inserting our measurement. So the first thing I'm going to do is to measure my waist to my hip. This is going to be my waist. This is going to be the end. So my waist to hip measurement is about 9 inches. So I'm going to use about 9 inches here. Putting in your measurement this way. So you're going to measure around your waist. So for me, my waist is about 36 divided by 4. That's going to be 9 plus extra 2 inches. 1 inch of darting and 1 inch of seam allowance. That's 11. So I'm going to mark that here. And then right on my hip measurement, I'm going to just insert my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1, which is 13. And that's the fold of the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this here down to this point. And then coming down to this bottom layer, I'm going to take this 13 that I have here, subtract 1 from it. And that's going to be the measurement at the end here. So that's going to be about 12. The reason I'm subtracting the 1 is because this is going to be a pencil skirt. So you want it narrow at the bottom part. So I'm going to subtract 1 inch here. So that's 12. So now I'm going to just come down 1 inch from the hip and then connect this together. So this part is going to be straight and then it's going to now blend into this end here. So now I'm going to just go ahead and insert my dart. So my nipple to nipple measurement is about 8 inches divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to put in that 4 inches here, and then my dart is going to stop 2 inches before my hip line. So my hip line is at 9, so my dart is going to stop at 7. So mark that here, and then I'm going to connect it this way, straight line to 7, and then half an inch on each side, half an inch on each side, and then blend it in. So this is basically my skirt pattern. All I have to do now is to notch this so that I know that my dart is going to transfer all the way to the back. So I notch the 4 layers. So my dart is going to be 2 sides of the front and 2 sides of the back. I'm going to transfer the dart. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So guys, this is my skirt pattern. Now I'm going to move over to cut my top. So guys, to cut my top pattern is going to be like a tube. So all you have to do is to take your bust measurement, add 12 inches to it, right? And then cut that in a long strap. So for me, my bust measurement is 42. I added 12 to it. The 12 I'm adding is seam allowance for every size body you're making it for. That 12 inches will work. So once you add the 12 inches, divide it by 2. So my bust is 42. I added 12 inches to it, which is my seam allowance, 6 inches in front, 6 inches at the back. And then I got 54. So that 54 divided into 2. So I splitted it into 2. So I have 27 on this side and 27 on this side. Let me say it again. Your bust measurement, add 12 inches to it, and then cut a long strap. That's going to be the width of your cloth. Cut a long pattern that is going to contain maybe that 54, maybe 42, whatever you got after adding 12 inches to your bust, and then split it into 2. So that 54 that I got for mine, I split into 2, 1 on this side, 1 on this side. So I'm going to just fold it into 2. One is going to be my back panel, and then I'm going to fold the second one. It's going to be my front panel. So you see, now I'm going to place it on each other and start inserting my measurement. So you see, this is basically it now that it's folded. So guys, I know people normally say that the 12 inches I'm saying is too much. People always say it every time I upload the video, but check it. If you see the 12 inches now, that you added to your bust measurement, and then you split it into two sides, right? So 6 inches went to this one, 6 inches went to this one for the seam allowance, and then you folded it again into two. So 6 inches went to it when it was open like this. So you folded it into two again, right? So now 3 inches of seam allowance is on each side, 3 inches on seam allowance is on each side, if that makes any sense. So that's not that much, because remember, you're still going to split this pattern into two, and then you're still going to split it several times. So you will still use up that 3 inches that is on each part. So you see, it's 3 inches on each layer. That's your bust measurement divided by 4 plus 3 inches is on each layer of this here. So if you want, you can still use that same method. Just take your bust measurement, divide it by 4, and then make sure that you have up to 3 inches of seam allowance after you folded it. If the 12 inches I keep saying confuses you, just fold it's because it's the same way when you're cutting a bustier, right? You fold your fabric and then you make sure you have about extra 4 inches or 3 inches at the side. So that's why I just wrap it up and say 4 inches all the time, but it's still the same thing. So now I'm going to go ahead and start cutting it. So guys, just imagine this as you're cutting a normal bodice, right? So you see, I drew in like how you normally cut in your normal, like if you see this now, put in your armhole, your neckline, everything. So what you're going to do is just measure where you want, measure on yourself from your shoulder to where you want the tube to start. So I want my top to start at 7.5. So I measured right from my shoulder to 7.5 is where I want the tube to start, right? So and then I'm going to have about, so you're going to measure from your shoulder to your half length and figure out where you want your half length, where your half length is, right? So for me, my shoulder to waist is about 17.5, which is somewhere here. So I'm going to add extra 1 inch of seam allowance, half an inch of folding joining the end here to a skirt, and half an inch of folding this part with the lining. So that's going to be 18 inches. So somewhere here is where I want mine to be. So that's how you're going to get the length you need. So you're just basically going to put in your tape and check where you want from your shoulder to where you want the bustier to be, and then you check from your shoulder to the length of the dress, the length of your top part, your half length, right? And then you add extra 1 inch to it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out this excess here. So guys, the next thing you're going to do is like your bust measurement plus 12 divided by 4. So for me, that's 13.5, which is basically the fold I have here. So which is 13.5, which is the fold I have here. So now you're going to come down to the waist and check your waist measurement plus that same 12 inches divided by, so my waist measurement is 36 plus extra 12 inches, right? 48, then divided by 4. So what I have here is going to be 12 inches. So I'm going to make sure that at the waist I have 12 inches, right? So I'm going to mark that here, and then I'm going to just connect it up this way to this point. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and chip this off. So guys, now that we've shaped it, we are going to go ahead and remove one pattern to be our back and one pattern to be the front, and then we shape the front alone. So guys, the next thing you do is to fold this part of your fabric. So you see the curved part is where I'm folding, right? But when you fold it, the width you're supposed to have is your breast point divided by 2 plus 1. So my breast point is 8, divided by 2 is 4, plus 1, that's going to be 5. So make sure that the width of this fold here is 5. So I'm going to move mine and make sure that I have 5 here. 5 all the way to the top, 5 all the way to the bottom. And then after that, I'm going to come on this side here and start inserting my measurements. Place back your tape again where you want the off shoulder to start. So you're going to place back your tape again, and let me place it so that you guys can see. So place it back again right where the shoulder is and everything is. Mine started at 7.5. You're going to measure your shoulder to your breast point. For me, 12.5. Shoulder to my under bust, for me that's 15. Shoulder to my waist is the third line, which is about almost 18 inches. So after marking that, you're going to straighten that line, and then you're going to come to this on the waist one. You're going to subtract half an inch from it, and then you're going to come up to the this middle one, and then you're going to subtract 0.75. not up to 1 inch, 0.75, and then here you're not going to subtract anything, and here you're going to just go in by 1 inch, right? Just go in distance of this point to this point, 1 inch, and then you're going to blend it in. Make this line to come down and meet this here, and then you make this breast point line to come in and meet this 0.75, and then this 0.75 will go down out and meet this half an inch line. And then after that, you're going to, if you want yours to be a sweetheart neckline, the one on the picture is not a sweetheart neckline, it's actually a tube. So I'm not going to be making mine, but normally if it's a sweetheart neckline, all you have to do is just to give it your V at this point, and then you're going to cut out the V. But it's not a sweetheart neckline, it's a tube. So I'm going to just blend it in and give it like this curve here, instead of like a V here. So I'm going to go ahead, chip this part out all the way to this top, and then cover this here. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do is to come down on this armhole part, because you don't want this digging into your armpit. So you're going to come down maybe 2 inches or 1.5 just to extend the armhole. So I'm going to make my 1.5, and then I'm going to blend it to this point. So I'm just going to give it like a curve all the way to this end here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So guys, you see what mine looks like. So now I'm going to separate it so you guys can see. But before I separate it, let me use this here to trace my back panel. So I'm going to, because remember, like I said, this is going to be the armhole, because the armhole at the back and the armhole at the front will meet. So I need to reduce 1.5 from the length of the back. So I'm going to go down now and chip off 1.5 all the way straight line. So guys, you see, just reduce it the same length that you took out from the front. That's basically what you're going to do here. Reduce it the same amount you took out from the front. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what this looks like. So if I open it up, this is my center. This is my center pattern. And then this here is going to be my side. So there are 2 parts of this side here, one on each side. So I have one on this side and then one on this side. So you can see this is now the part here. So you see, all I have to do now is to go ahead and cut this exact pattern on a lining, and then I'm going to go ahead and start joining it. For my back panel, I'm going to go ahead and split it open, because I'm also going to trace lining for the back panel. Cut it open so that I know that I have my zip allowance at the center, and also I'm going to dart it. So it's going to take up a dart of about half an inch on each side. So you're going to dart it like this, half an inch all the way down, half an inch all the way up. So you see, you're going to dart it this way. So you're going to dart it on the 2 patterns, one on each side, because you know there are two pieces to this back panel. So you're going to dart half an inch on each of them. So that's going to be 1 inch gone from this here, and then 1 inch gone on this here. And then after that, you're going to have like 1 inch left for the center zip allowance, and then you're going to have your 1 inch left for the side zip allowance, if that makes sense. Because remember, it's 3 inches on each side, remember, right? 3 inches is what was left on each side. The 2 back panel together has extra 6 inches of seam allowance. So 3 inches on each part of the back. So 1 inch is going to be the zip, 1 inch is going to be the dart, half an inch on each side of the dart, and then 1 inch is going to be the seam allowance. So that's basically it for this. So go ahead and trace out your lining. So guys, you're going to go ahead and cut out the straps that you need. As you can see, this is a lot here. So you're going to go ahead, cut out what you need, and also sew that down. So how you're going to sew it, I have about 1.5 inches of width. So it depends on you, the width you want yours to be, and the length, the length you want yours to be, but I'm using width of 1.5. So you're going to fold it in this way, fold it this side, and then fold it this way, and make a stitch on top all the way down. So that's how you're going to do it. For how many, I don't know how many you will have, but just make as much as you will need, because mine is a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and sew mine so that I can be able to join it. Ahead and coupled most of my stuff together. So let me tell you guys what you're going to do. So you're basically, like I said, you're going to cut your lining, and your lining that you're going to cut is going to be 1 inch shorter than the main bodice, right? This is one side of my skirt, this is the second side of my skirt. You see where the 2 of them will meet each other? So this is where the 2 of them will meet each other. So what you're going to do is cut your lining, but make it like 1 inch shorter by this end here, so that you can be able to fix in this ties, this fringe at the bottom. So this is how I fixed it in. So basically in between, so you're going to take your lining and the pattern, and then you're going to take your your fringe, and you can fix it in. So guys, you're going to just sew this in between. So if you look at it this way now, this is basically how I just sewed it in. So you can see this fringe is in between my lining and the body of my cloth. So when I pull it back this way, all you have to do is just go back in here and pull it up. So after sewing it, you pull your lining up by about that 1 inch is going to go up. So now you're going to just make sure you pull up your lining to meet up with the length of this. As long as your lining is shorter than this, once you pull it up, you see you're going to have this seam. You're going to have this fabric at the end here. So you see my fabric is at the end because I don't want the part where the lining and the cloth meets to just be at the end. So that's why I pulled it up in a little bit. So you see, this is what it looks like. The same thing goes for the other side of the back. So you see I have some part of this main bodice inside before where the lining comes in. I did the same thing also for my front. So you see I joined everything separately. You see I did everything separately. So now that I've done this, I can go back in now and put in my dart. And once I put in my dart for the center part, so this is my front center front of my dress. So you see what I did here. So basically, like I said before, go ahead, join the 3 patterns of your front and then join the 3 patterns of your lining, because you're going to cut exactly the same lining as the body of your dress. Join the 3 patterns, the center and then the 2 sides, and then you're going to join everything together, the main bodice and the lining at this top part here. That's where my seam is. So when you're done, you flip it in this way. So now once I put in my lining, I can go ahead and join this body to this bottom part. But if you want, you can join, because I like to have my seams outside, so that in case if I ever need to take it in, I just take it in with my seams out there. But if you want, you can go ahead and join everything together. This is my side pattern. So you see the same thing is what I did for my side pattern. The top part here is where I joined the lining and the body, the lining and the main pattern. You see the top part, and then after that I gave it a dart. So you see my dart here, this is it. And then this one here is going to go to one side of the back. That's after I've put in my lining, it's going to go to one side of the back. And you see my center zip allowance is the straight part. And then once I put in my dart, this thing will be equal. But if I leave it out now without the dart, because I've already put the dart at the back pattern, that's why this one looks like it's wider. The bottom looks like it's longer by an inch. But once the dart comes in now, it falls into place. So now I'm just going to go ahead, put in my dart on my skirt, and then I'm going to join everything together. So guys, this is it here. Then when I finished, I added my strap. My strap is about 17 inches of length. That's including the seam allowance. That's the length of my strap. So this is it here. This is the bottom part, and then this is the back here. So this is basically how you're going to sew this. So and then you're going to insert your zip at the center. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Bye.